Hi, folks. This is Graham, and I'm here with a critically important update regarding Irish mortality. Um, this is essential information to understand what's happening and what's happened over the past year, and hopefully help people to see through the misreporting that I believe we've been subjected to. Firstly, this release came out from the Central Statistics Office midweek. Uh, you can see that the number of deaths in Q3 that were registered fell by 247, or 3.4%. And this was despite nearly 200 COVID-19 deaths being reported in the period. So fascinating to see the number of deaths fall during the summer period of a so-called pandemic. Now, what this enables me to do is look at the 2019-2020 period, starting from October or Q4 of 2019 and going right through to September or Q3 of 2020. And I can compare this period, which includes a full winter season, to prior years. And this is the result. So what you get is deaths registered per 1,000 of population that looks like this. And you can see that the 2019-2020 total slightly exceeds the 2015 to 2019 average. And you might ask, by how many deaths did it exceed the average? Considering that there were 1,800 official COVID-19 deaths. What's the answer? Well, the truth is that the excess was much smaller, about 400, maybe 450 deaths in 2019-2020, above the average of the prior 5 years. And I think this is a smoking gun, that COVID-19 deaths have been overcounted, especially when you look at the gold block in the above chart. So the gold block represents the COVID-19 deaths. And you can see that if they are removed from the 2019-2020 total, the result for the year is an outlier. It's exceptionally low, and it's the most unusual result. So I think this chart is useful, but we should also try to adjust for age. So let's do that. And firstly, just to remind you, the over 85 age cohort has been increasing massively in terms of its share of the population. It's still a much younger population in Ireland compared to other European countries, but this is an important factor. So I've taken all the available data. So this includes the death distribution data for calendar years 2015 to 2018. I've taken the age distribution of COVID-19 deaths as of the last few months. And I've taken all this data and I've made reasonable guesstimates to enable me to calculate age standardized mortality rates. And this is the result. And so what this represents is the mortality rate if you hold the age distribution of the population constant. And as you can see, the 2019-2020 total is lower than every prior year, except possibly for 2018-2019. So by how much does 2019-2020 exceed 2018, 2019? Well, I can tell you that the difference is about 200 deaths, about 200 more deaths in 2019, 2020 compared to 2018, 2019, if you hold the age distribution of the population constant. There are more excess deaths if you use that red trend line in the chart. So that downward sloping trend line assumes that mortality continues on its downward path. It's historical linear downward path. And in that case, looking at that as a predictor, we get about 650 excess deaths in 2019, 2020. So whichever way you look at it, you don't get 1,800 excess deaths as the COVID-19 figures would have you believe. And again, you can see from this chart that the golden block representing COVID-19 deaths leaves a bit of a problem for the mainstream narrative, because if you remove that golden block, you're left with a result that is, once more, an outlier. It's exceptionally low. It's suspiciously low. This, folks, is the smoking gun. This is clear, strong evidence that COVID-19 deaths have been overcounted, because if you assume that they didn't happen, you're left with a number that is just weirdly low. Before anybody misrepresents me, I can acknowledge that people have died from COVID-19, but the counting of COVID-19 deaths, I believe, is fraudulent. I believe the numbers prove beyond a reasonable doubt that it's fraudulent. And, we need to break the fear by showing people that despite all these reported deaths, things are not much more dangerous than historically they've been. Things are pretty safe. And, some people will continue to believe in the benefit of lockdown for as long as they possibly can. But we need to break through and show people the numbers are fake, the reporting is false, and we have to keep the pressure on until the powers that be admit that the narrative is fake. So keep up the pressure, and we're going to do this.